Oh, you're hot. Hello, Aromas. This is Aromie here. Welcome back to our Like Beginnings, and always we are now going to move on to serendipity. I have no idea what the fuck this is because it's a phone. It's a phone. I don't know if we're on the phone with somebody. Light filtered down through the leaves of an oak tree overhead, casting speckled shadows on the sidewalk all around you. There was a drop of sweat slowly making its way down to the side of your face. You flicked it away with your thumb, slowing to a stop in the cool shade. The day had you out and about in town, in no hurry to go anywhere in particular. You had just gotten something to eat, and there was nothing planned for the rest of the afternoon. Your moms were at work, and Liz had left early in the morning to do something. You had no idea what. You took out your phone, idly noting the time when it started to jingle. The screen lit up in your hand. Speak of the devil, Liz messaged you. Come home ASAP. Before you could even begin to question why your phone went off again. Nothing bad, but you have to see this, so come back already. And with that final message, you were left only slightly less confused than you were before. You hadn't seen much of your sister lately. She had been acting strange for days, always shutting herself up in her room, which wouldn't it be so weird if at the dinner table she didn't suddenly start smirking to herself over nothing. The rare times you did see her, she would sneak you expectant looks like she was waiting to be asked what was up, but all your questions led nowhere. She would answer you with a put-upon sigh, proclaim that she was busy, and tell you that she would have to talk about it later. No hints, no guessing. Whatever it was, she was determined to keep it a secret. Maybe now you'd finally find out what it was. As you did an about-face on the sidewalk and started heading home, you received more texts. To your surprise, the name that popped up on the screen this time was Coves. Did you hear from Liz? About some urgent thing you had to see? She messaged Cove too. You weren't surprised. Liz teased him about it, but he was like family. However, you were struggling to understand how he fit into Liz's surprise. Yeah, Liz sent me the same thing. What? Is there something on fire? Why would Liz tell you her news? No, yeah, Liz sent me the same thing. His reply came only seconds later as you waved across the street. I figured you would. Are you going to see what's up? I'm walking there now. Me too. Glancing up, you saw the light had changed to a walk sign while you were busy texting. You hurriedly wrapped things up, texting Cove a quick goodbye before crossing the street. It was fine to see him later anyways, not expecting any more messages to put your phone away so you could walk without having to worry about tripping over the curb. Thankfully, it was a short trek home, and soon enough you were walking up your street, the familiar face of your house already in view, thinking of what might be waiting at home. What's making you worried left you entirely lost, felt exciting. I'm pretty excited. As weird as it was for Liz to involve Cove, you felt that it had to be something fun if she went so far as to include him. You were itching to find out what it was. Lost in your thoughts, you almost didn't see who was walking further up the street. Cove. Even from the back, the bright sea green color of his hair was unmistakable. You quickened your pace to catch up to him, the scuff of your shoes loud against the pavement. You heard it instantly, not missing a beat as he turned towards you and slowed his steps in sync.
Hey.
Hi! Here we are, at my house. At that, Cove gave you a wry smile. Here we are. It sounded almost like a question. What do you want to do if you have been summoned there? Any ideas on what Liz wants us for? You shook your head. The situation was out of character for your sister. Anything could happen. Well, I guess we should go in and find out. Taking his cue, you grabbed your keys and opened the front door. Cove trailed behind you as you entered. You jumped through the open door, scanning every which way for surprise. From the entryway, you could see Liz pacing across the living room, her smiling gaze intent on her phone. You had caught her just as she had completed a turn. Behind you, the door clicked shut. The second she heard it, her head darted up to your direction, her features lighting up at the sight of you and Cove. Oh, she's so pretty. My sister is so pretty. She was like a little sassy, as her teenager years, but what teenager wasn't, honestly? You've arrived, and together too. That's perfect. Just perfect. She flashed you a radiant smile. You could almost see her limbs vibrating as if she was poised to pounce. Cove raised an eyebrow at your sister's bizarre behavior. What's going on? This better be important. You're in a good mood today. So what is it? Where is it? What were you going to show us? You gotta wait to see what she would reveal. I think I would say this, because we're sisters, right? We're pretty close, so we don't have to be so, polite. Liz laughed at your rapid-fire questioning. Calm down, you will see. Liz's eyes narrowed with a mischievous glint, and she let out a little cackle. So lately I've been hard at work on a little plan of mine, and you two get the honor of seeing it all come together. Is it like a person she's invited over or something? Here it is. Surprise! She lifted a hand in the air to present the very comfortable but completely mundane living room. Sister, I think you're missing the surprise. And the resulting silence, he and Cope glanced around again and then made eye contact with each other. His face mirrored your bafflement. Then suddenly another voice rang out in the room. Oh no. Oh no, it's a person.
Surprise!
Is that Shiloh? Is it Shiloh? Cope flinched at the shout with shoulders shooting up to his ears. Laughter came from your sister as well as from the other side of the room. I fucking knew it was gonna be a person. Hello, Shiloh. Hi, how are you? Is this before or, well, this has to be after him faking he didn't know us, right? Your head whipped around just in time to see a familiar figure with a freckled face and a purple cap springing up from behind the back of the couch. Co's mouth fell open, recognition immediately coming to him. Shiloh? Hi, Co. Hi, Michiko. Shiloh greeted the two of you so casually, like you'd been gone for 10 days rather than 10 years. Shiloh! You were too stunned to speak? What in the world were you doing here? You started laughing, but I thought you weren't the Shiloh we knew. Oh! I thought you weren't the Shiloh we knew! The initial shock quickly wore off. You crossed your arms and leveled... Because I'm petty. You crossed arms and leveled You crossed your arms and leveled a look at the freckled face who had ditched you at the start of summer. He treated you and Liz like complete strangers. Shiloh shifted nervously. I bet you thought I forgot? Angling the brim of his hat down as if to hide from your scrutiny, Liz tutted at your comment.
Rude.
Liz! You're telling me to not be rude? You were rude. What? I'll explain. Alright, explain now. Explain now. When we got home that day, I changed my mind about letting it go. Why did I have to? Social media exists, right? So I thought, why not try finding him and sending him a little reminder message? Luckily, there are only so many 17-year-old Shiloh Fields in the world. It wasn't that hard to do. Hearing Liz speak seemed to encourage Shiloh, who pulled himself together to face both you and your sister with a careful smile.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened. When you talked to me that first time, I was in the middle of a tour for a school field trip. I couldn't get separated from the group and didn't expect anyone to want to be talking to me. I was so worried about getting back to everyone else. I didn't think too hard on what you were saying. But when Lizzie's message showed up, everything suddenly hit me. Lizzie, Michiko, Cove, you were the kids of Sunset Bird, back when I was a little kid. There's no way I could forget that, not for real. I do know all of you, and I'm so happy I get to see you again. I had Lizzie to thank for that. My mom was already planning to take a short trip near here this summer.
Well.
If my mom could bring me along, Lizzie offered to pick me up and bring me the rest of the way here just so I could visit the neighborhood again. And that's why I decided to make it a big reveal instead of outright telling you two I got back in contact with Shiloh. Once again, she lifted a hand in the air, properly presenting that long-lost childhood friend you all shared. So, ta-da! I mean, Shiloh was more up with Liz. He wasn't really hanging out with Cove and I. It was impressive how it all came together. Alright, still pretty stupid of you not to realize sooner. You're glad that they were able to see each other again. You're amused at their stunt. You're unsure. I mean, I'm glad they could see each other again, you know? You smiled softly at Liz, remembering how Shiloh used to follow your sister around like a baby chick after his mom when they were kids. It's nice seeing the two of you together like this, just like old times. Cove blinked slowly, still a little dazed by everything that was going on. Okay, I'm going to get some water. Don't disappear or anything. He padded off to the kitchen, no need for a chaperone. He knew where the cups were. Wow, you really surprised him, Lizzie. And Michiko, too. Did you see her face when it appeared? Yes, I did. Liz patted the cushion in front of the couch. Make yourself comfortable. You don't have to keep hunkering down behind there anymore. With a laugh, Shiloh crossed her... So this is serendipity. Shiloh crossed her round backside and took the seat. But maybe it was awkward being the only one sitting because he kept idly twiddling his fingers. You could hear him humming to himself a nonsense tune with no real melody, something to keep his voice busy. Being here again could be more nerve-wracking for him than he let on. Cove's soft voice announced his return. He paused to drag the back of his hand across his mouth, wiping away what droplets of water lingered there. Hi, Shiloh. Welcome back. At Cove's confused greeting, Shiloh laughed cheerily. I think it's amazing you're still all in the same neighborhood. It's just like how it was way back then. Shiloh sighed happily at the moment as Cove raised an eyebrow and gave the room a considering glance. Hey, this is where we met the first time, remember? Right after I moved in, me and Michiko were brought down right here to have a play date with you. Yeah. Shiloh, I thought we ran away from him though. Shiloh laughed, his eyes downcast as he fiddled with the corner of his collared shirt. We almost didn't meet in the living room because you wanted to jump out the window to get away from me. Cole cringed at the memory of his younger self being pushed back to the forefront of his mind, his mouth going tight. He awkwardly looked away from Shiloh. You have a good memory.
Oh?
I don't think so. Seeing this place again just brings lots of things back. He clapped his hands together, an idea suddenly coming to him. But hey, now that our group is together, would you want to go out and visit some of the old places? I've been hiding in the living room since I got here. Liz wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, bringing her hand to her chest to silently take the blame for that. I'd love to. Yeah. Without missing a beat, the others turned to you for your answer. Where to first? Why not? You silently nodded your assent. You shrugged in reply. You looked hesitant. Where to first?
Fine.
I'm sure we'll figure it out along the way. And with that, the four of you headed out into the neighborhood as one. Even with how short the time you spent indoors was, the sun was momentarily blinding once you left the house. Squinting, you brought your hand up to shield your eyes. The pleasant summer day had yet to go away. Only a few wispy clouds drifted along in the sky. As you stood down the way, Liz took the lead, followed by you and Co walking side by side. Shiloh freely took to walking in the middle of the road, his arms idly swinging back and forth at his sides as he turned his head every which way to take in as much as he could. It was very much a trip down memory lane for him. You wondered how much the neighborhood had changed in his eyes. Not a word passed between the group about where you were heading first, but soon enough you found yourselves walking the usual path to the shopping street. Before you reached it, the sound of it did... A collective of sandals... what? Before you reached it, the sounds of it did. Okay. A collective of sandals tracking sand, the shrill calls of seagulls, the overlapping conversations of beachgoers, and random strains of music from various stalls. Wow! The all gasp that had come from Shiloh's eyes were all lit up. Were there always so many different stores in one place?
Yeah.
Of course. Wow, I can see why so many people come here. Hey, do they still have those nice little ice cream stands? Of course they do. Yay, we should get some. It'll be my treat. Thanks, Shiloh. Ice cream sounds perfect on such a hot day. How about you, Cove? You could see that, unlike Liz, Cove was struggling with the decision, brow wrinkled in thought. Finally, a hesitant smile appeared on his face as he settled on keeping to the spirit of the special occasion. Yeah, sounds good to me. Awesome, and me, Chico. Oh, I like that, thanks. I don't want any. I'd rather pay for myself. I'll buy one for me and one for you, Shiloh. I don't want one, but I'll pay for yours, Shiloh. No, what the fuck? I like that, thanks. Shiloh gave you a wide grin as if you were the one buying him ice cream. The four of you continued to walk as ice cream plans were further discussed. Are you getting a popsicle, Lizzie? Yes. Hearing that, Shiloh smiled shyly. I thought you might still like that. I'm gonna get an ice cream cone. Shiloh began to turn towards Cove, but before he could ask, Cove offered up his choice. I'll get an ice cream sandwich. I'm gonna get a popsicle, ice cream cone. Oh, well, you see, I have... depends on the mood. These all sound delicious. I might get an ice cream cone, though. Shiloh had the right idea for this one. It was the best choice. There was an ice cream stall further up the street, across from a souvenir shop displaying postcards of the seaside and saltwater taffy. I want some so bad. I haven't had them since I had braces, which is probably like 5 years now. And saltwater taffy in its windows. The stand itself was already hard to miss with its pastel pinks and blues and its eye-catching poster boards listing every individual flavor. It was impossible to ignore once the catchy little jingle playing from its speaker was added. Shiloh, the owner, began picking out the treats that everyone had chosen. He paid for them before handing them out to their respective owners. Singing your teeth into your ice cream cone, you relished a sweet chili and left in your mouth. Liz was right. This was a perfect treat for a summer day. Around you, everyone was eating at their own pace. Liz held her popsicle away from herself, careful not to let it drip onto her dress. She was trying to go about eating it as delicately as she could while Shiloh dug into his. You counted only 2 or 3 bites before Cove had devoured his sandwich. Shiloh laughed, also noticing the way Cove inhaled his food. It's already finished. Cove shrugged a little in reply, his attention more focused on crumbling up the sandwich wrapper in his hand. So what have you been doing around here since I've been gone? Well, I already told you about me attending college away from here, so I don't really live here anymore. But to be more specific on my life, I'm pursuing a degree in architecture. Shiloh perked up at that, his mouth falling open in awe. Amazing!
Thanks.
Actually, I was thinking about it and the first time I really decided I liked buildings and building them was when you and I would make sandcastles on the beach.
Aww.
So cute! At such a sincere admission from your sister, all Shiloh could do was blush and lower his head, too flattered to know what else to say. Liz laughed, just as flustered though she had been the one to say it. The atmosphere was awkward, but not unpleasant. Shiloh shyly glanced over at you and Cove. Then what about you two? What have you been up to?
Oh,
Me and Michiko just graduated. High school, I mean. I've got a part-time job. I volunteer at this organization to clean up stuff, things like that. You know, along with Cove, you idly explain how you're doing normal things. That's a secret. You explain how you had a lot of plans. I'm really taking it easy right now. You know, I'm taking it easy. You know, nothing else going on. It's summer after all. I want to make the most of it while I can. Cove nodded along with you. It was a sentiment he shared. Shiloh just seemed happy to hear it. Being around him again was a little like picking up an old forgotten habit, clunky at first, but as the four of you talked, it started to come more naturally. I think that's normal, you know, when you haven't met a friend in a while, so it's kind of awkward. And when one of you ran out of things to say, suddenly someone else remembers something new. Alright, do you remember those mean old, not actually grandparents that used to live in our neighborhood? Yeah, they were so mean. Well, they're not here anymore. Oh no! They're not spending summers here anymore. They're still alive. Way to go, Liz! Thank goodness. You held that Shiloh was just as eager to hear what had gone in his absence as people were to tell him. Soon everyone threw out what trash they had in a nearby garbage can as your group made their way down to the beach. Going down the shore inevitably led to a certain spot. It didn't take very long for Shiloh to recognize that what was in the distance. His words trailed off in the middle of a sentence, his footsteps faltering at first. Then all at once he broke away from the group and dashed right into the old park, giggling as he ran. Oh, everything's so small! His laughter petered out as he came to a stop by the swings and grabbed hold of one of the support poles. He walked in a little circle around it, marveling at how easily his hands wrapped around its entirety. Emboldened by Shiloh's enthusiasm, Liz plopped herself down on one of the swing sets, only to instantly show an expression of regret. There was no way she was comfortable in that tiny seat so low to the ground, not with how she had to scrunch up her legs to fit there. Shiloh creeped up behind her. He took hold of the chains of her swing, one in each hand.
Seriously?
What are you doing? And with a grin, Shiloh started walking back. Liz shifted in her seat to look at him. You cannot be trying to push me. These are made for kids. It's never gonna work. But Shiloh just hummed and kept pulling her back. Resigning herself to her fate, Liz tucked her legs up as much as possible as Shiloh moved his hand to her back. With a running start, he got her forward and up as far as he could go before jumping out of the way. Liz had her eyes squeezed shut, a screech escaping her as the swing started falling backwards, and when it swung back around, there was Shiloh again to push her. She couldn't kick the ground like when you were kids. Her legs were too long for that now, but Shiloh was pushing her enough to keep the momentum going. The air was filled with their wild laughter and the almost rhythmic jangle of swing chains. Cove sat against the bars of the jungle gym, wearing a bent smile as he watched them. He was fiddling with something, turning over and over in his hands. When you craned your neck to get a better view, he obligingly lifted it for you to see. It was this piece of shell, one side rough and mottled gray, the other side completely smooth, revealing a faint blue sheen when it caught the light. I saw it on the beach. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good one. No, I meant Shiloh. He seems more confident than I remember. What? Wait. Oh, he just split off into a different conversation. I was like, what? I think so too. You found it amazing to be playing with Shiloh at the park again. You thought it was crazy how much time had gone by. Why didn't you push me on the swings like that? You left the conversation there. Why don't you push me on the swings like that? Cub narrowed his eyes on you, flung his arms with a bemused smile. Why don't you push me on the swings like that? If Shiloh can do it for Liz, you can do it for me too. Well, he had you there. Alright, get on. Get on, dude. Get on the seat. Soon your sister began to speak out. Alright. I'm ready to get off now. How do you stop this? Don't worry. Shiloh braced himself, one foot planted forward as the swing started coming back down. Then in one quick motion, he reached up and caught the chains again. The impact had his feet skidding back in the sand, but he kept his stance steady. If Liz was surprised at suddenly being brought to a halt, she didn't show it, only tilting her head up to smile at him. Shiloh had yet to catch his breath, though returned the smile just as brightly. He let go of the chains while walking around the swing set and briefly rubbing his hands together before offering one to Liz, which she graciously accepted, needing the help to get out of the tiny seat. Then the two of them made their way back over to Yoon Cove. Liz was looking more ruffled than usual, and her sun hat was off kilter, having held on for dear life for the entire ride. She took a moment to straighten her outfit back into place. That looked like fun. It was. Even though you were just pushing me on the swings? Yep, that was the fun part.
Huh.
Hey Shiloh, you've got an idea of what our lives have been like since you've been gone, but I've been wondering what happened to you after you moved away. Yeah, Shiloh, what you hiding, huh? You hiding your two-facedness from us? Shiloh's eyes went wide as if it was surprising to hear. You couldn't recall him talking about himself when you were all telling stories, but maybe he hadn't been able to find the right timing. totally not, because he's a changed man. He brought his hand to his chin, tapping it thoughtfully as he looked up into the side. Well, what happened was my mom decided to move back to the south, closer to where I was born. We stayed there for a few years until she got another job offer in California again, thanks to the connection she had there. It was really a good job at a private boarding school, so she decided to take it. With a wide grin, he started the next part. And as bonus, her kid, me, gets to attend the school and live in the dorms for free. I've been there since my second year of middle school. Pretty soon, I'm going to be starting my last year of high school. Liz leans towards him with an intensive smile on her face. I've been doing well there, getting good grades, got any friends. At the list of questions, Shallow held his hands in front of himself as if they were physical things he could stave off. Yeah, to everything. It can be a little hard sometimes because of how people are in that school, but I'm happy. We know that school. We know the people there. How people are. Cope. Jeremy, have you met Jeremy? Cope couldn't guess what that meant, but Liz folded her arms, scowling. Does that mean there's more people like that Nate guy hanging around? Wait, you know Nate? Oh wait, we've seen Nate. We've seen Nate. Nate was the guy I was actually going for in the beginning, and then his best friend took me over. Shiloh rubbed at his cheek, laughing nervously. He glanced from the bars of the jungle gym to the laces of his shoes, with trees swaying in the distance, unsure of where to rest his gaze. Not exactly. Nate doesn't mean to be mean. He just kind of is. He's the school's #1 performer for athletics and academics. He always takes on so much responsibility that the only possible way he can finish it all is if absolutely nothing goes wrong. But that's impossible, so he always stressed and is ready to snap. He can't handle it when someone seems to be causing a problem. That's why during the field trip he was upset when I went off on my own like that. Still, he's really smart and reliable and sensitive, and he cares a lot. Most of the time he doesn't even realize his way of dealing with stuff upsets other people. Cobb had a patient smile on his face, listening earnestly as Shiloh rattled off his list of Nate's good traits. You know him pretty well. Are we actually friends? Well, not exactly. Me and Nate are in the same after-school group. About once a month, me and 6 other students and a supervisor get together to talk. We did it all of last year, and I think next year we're gonna be in the same group again. I hope so. Nice, that's weird. Why would you want to be in a group with him? I'm glad Nate's not so bad after all. You didn't comment on it. I'm glad Nate's not so bad after all, because Nate is genuinely the first guy that I was interested in, so he's not that bad. Especially since Shiloh might have to be in the same after school group as him next year. Liz shook her head at your words. It would take much more for her to be convinced of Nate's upstanding character. Personally, I'd still appreciate having a word with Nate about his communication skills. Her tone and voice was low and pointed. You'd be worried for Nate if not for the playful smile that accompanied her words. Shiloh let out a little laugh at that. I do have Nate's number, but he wouldn't pick up. The people in my group only answer when they feel like hearing from me, so usually I have to wait for them to call. Either that, or they'd never even consider answering my calls, or calling me, or talking to me at all, unless the supervisor forces them to. It sounds awful. It sounds like Shiloh's the one that people don't like. It was such a bleak description of his dynamic with his group, but he didn't seem to realize it until he glanced up and saw the concerned looks on everyone's faces. His smile fell. He hastened to add one more thing. Well, except for one who will always answer for sure. Oh? She immediately perked up.
Really?
So that's a friend of yours? He hesitated to answer, something Cove picked up on. Not exactly? Yeah, I like to be friends, though. Alright. Liz about to pop off. Liz crossed her arms together once more, grim face like she was the commander of a ship about to lead her little crew into battle. You should call them, right now. What? If you want to be friends with them, I can help. I don't think that's how it works. If you're going to be in the same group again, then you should at least try to get along. No, I couldn't. He quickly grew flustered, his tongue stumbling over his sentences. I don't want to be a bother. Liz, what are we going to do? Watch him while he talks to someone on the phone? No, Cove. Shiloh. The last syllable of Shiloh's name trailing off into nothing. It soon became clear Liz had not fully thought out the plan yet, but she wouldn't be Liz if she just stopped there. Shiloh, could you put them on a video call? We could all talk together, of course. She clapped her hands together, a wide smile on her face that didn't leave room for dissenting opinions.
Alright.
That's a great idea, it'll work. Yeah, no words for that. I'm just gonna remain quiet. Cove gave a long, suffering sigh at Liz's suggestion. Come on, Shiloh, we'll just talk to them. Say that we're your friends from out of town. The worst that could happen is nothing changes. But once they have more chances to talk to you, I know they'll be convinced to be better friends. It's going to turn out okay. I wonder if the person he's talking about is MC in the game. Shiloh stalled to answer, but his hand was already hovering over one of the pockets of his pants. Alright, we can talk. Yes. Let's clench a hand into a fist. Trainer Shiloh officially reached into the pocket and pulled out his phone. You noticed it was the same type of model as your own, but his had a red case around it. The screen lit up and Shiloh requested a video call with some number in his contacts. None of them on the list had names. He must remember what number belongs to what person. I sure as hell would not. He inched closer to the three of you so everyone could hear better. Vaguely, you wonder how this looked from the outside. 4 teenagers on the verge of adulthood, hanging out on an old playground, all huddled up around a single phone. Strange? Suspicious? The ringing of the phone broke you out of your musings. You kept your eyes on it, your heart speeding at the end of each dial tone, thinking, could this be it? Only to have another startup. It had been ringing for a while when you started to think about what could have said about all of you watching as Shiloh talked on the phone. Maybe even that wouldn't happen. Shiloh could sense the awkwardness in the air, smiling to try to dispel it. This is normal, don't worry. They're busy, you know, it's summer vacation. People are probably sleeping in, especially high schoolers. Just as he said, the call ended, not even going to voicemail. Shiloh clicked to redial. He never answers on the first call. He always does on the second. That's how he is, at least with some people. These are exceptions. Most people, sorry. You, Liz, and Cove furtively shared ambiguous looks, none of you wanting to accidentally discourage Shiloh. Then you focus on the phone again as it started ringing once more. The jingling suddenly cut off in the middle, following by the faint sound of white noise. With a big smile and flushed cheeks, Shiloh brought the phone up to his face. A voice, low and groggy, came rasping out of the speakers. Hello? Shiloh, on the other hand, was much more chipper. Hi, I'm visiting a town I used to live in when I was little and wanted to introduce my group mate to the people I knew back then. Some of them have already met Ning. Can you say hey to them too? Oh my god, please not be Jeremy. Please don't be Jeremy. And that rushed introduction, Shiloh stuck the phone out towards Cove, gesturing for him to greet the person on the other end. Although Cove hadn't been on board in the beginning, the only indication of that now was the lopsided tilt of his smile. He turned his gaze down the screen, opening his mouth to speak. Only then stuttered to a complete stop. Dude, this might be Jeremy. All Cove could do was sputter and gape at the screen. His reaction had Shiloh's brow crinkling in worry. What? Shiloh's group mate didn't sound particularly impressed with how this conversation was going so far. Shiloh frowned, retracting his arm away from Cove. As he did so, the screen tilted towards you and you caught a glimpse of what was on the screen. Oh! Oh, you're hot. Oh, Jeremy! I don't remember you looking like this. Hello? You gotta glow up. You gotta glow up, hello? Light green hair, sharp orange eyes, shadowed with bags, and icy pale skin, all tied together to make up the scowling face of a person who clearly had no desire to be here. You knew him. I know him. I know this man. A flood of memories arose, flashes of that one summer years ago. At this very same park, you holding on to an arrangement of fruit, Derek and Cove at your side, and I miss Derek. And that kid mean as a tiny chihuahua, stabbing everyone who dared to come close. But now he's not mean anymore. He's just, you know, depressed. The bowl cut kid. He's screen quaking up the phone. Wow, you're a lot better looking now. Oh, that's true. Jeremy drew back, his nose wrinkling in disgust. You think I'm appealing? What kind of messed up taste do you have? I think this man just called me out. Of all the freaking characters I sent for. Excuse me. Okay, I don't have a Tachi behind me. That's an insult to yourself.
So what?
Oh, Jeremy. Jeremy was the cutest character though. Like, he sent me smiley faces and hearts when we were dating, alright? Cove still couldn't take his wide eyes off the phone. He spoke now in a very small voice, almost a squeak. Jeremy? Yeah? His reply was mildly annoyed at this point. How did you know his name was Jeremy? You didn't tell him? No, I only called you somebody from my group at school. Oh god, you're so handsome. Like, he looks so cute! Jeremy regarded Cove cautiously, for the first time giving the situation a little of his focus. Cove bristled, sucking in a long, deep, dramatic breath.
Oh my god.
It's like he's seen a ghost. And all at once he started shouting, not just with his voice. He waved his arms around, gesturing wildly with his hands as he repeatedly yelled, "Oh my god," with all sorts of inflections. Oh my god, oh my god. At these antics, Jeremy gave a short huff of a sigh through his teeth, the sound tinny over the phone speakers. What is this, Shiloh? Are you trying to make me suffer? Are you still mad about what happened at the amusement park? I was on your side, you know. Liz, who had been entirely lost this whole time, finally spoke up.
Huh?
What happened at the amusement park? But no one paid that question any mind. I don't know what's going on. Have you met each other before? Nope. It was an immediate reply from Jeremy, but then those stinging eyes squinted. Wait. There was a flash of recognition there as he leaned his head forward and scrutinized the both of you. His already wide frown somehow found a way to grow deeper at his realization.
Oh, it's you people. Again.
Listen, Jeremy. You were a baby bitch when you were little, right? But you're quite handsome now. Growth. He looked from Shiloh to Cove and then to you. You could tell he was carefully putting his thoughts together.
Sorry.
I have no idea how you people got in contact with me or what Shiloh has to do with this, but sorry. What? Jeremy sighed again, his gaze rolled over the Cove. I don't remember exactly what he did or what I said, but I do know what I was like as a kid. And really, that's all I need to know. Well, okay, but who was that apology for? It better be for me, Michiko. He spoke sternly through... I've never seen Cove be so straightforward with someone. He spoke sternly, though there was no hiding the shakiness present. That didn't matter. Cove coming to your defense by confronting Jeremy brought a warm smile to your face. It does. Jeremy, on the other hand, continued to be unimpressed. The corner of his lip twitched. I didn't need to know what the teenage guy equivalent of a smooshy squeak is, but now I do. Thanks for that. Did you just diss my man? I'm about to fight. A small offended noise escaped Cove. Unfortunately, it was also squeaky sounding. His face immediately burned red with embarrassment. That's my squeak toy you're talking about. You laugh. What a perfect description. Cove is exactly that. That's it. You better not step foot in his town again. Hey! Hey, you bitch! Taking a small step forward, your hands are stably hey! Into the fist. You couldn't believe at the first chance he got, Jeremy insulted Cove again. Glancing at Cove to silently ask, "Can you believe this?" You noticed a tiny smile on his face that you were offensive on his behalf. Jeremy didn't react at all. He continued watching the four people on the other end of this unwanted call, lackadaisically.
Whatever.
The apologies for whoever. Anyone who had to deal with me back then, they weren't having a good time. He shrugged. Jeremy's focus cycled from you to Cove and back again. I kind of remember what happened, I think. You were sensitive and you tried to be nice. What a tragedy that was. Jeremy! Jeremy tilted his head Cove's way and then to yours respectively. What a tragedy for you to be kind to me. Wow, what the fuck? Amazed, Cove took a few processing moments before he could respond. He blinked and rubbed the back of his neck. Thanks. I mean, it's no problem. He just looked away. I've still got my eyes on you. You're lucky you're not here in person. I accept your apology. Thank you, Jeremy. This is honestly incredible. Okay, then. I accept your apology. Thank you, Jeremy. This moment was the absolute last thing you had expected today, but you couldn't help but be pleased it happened. Whatever. Following Cove's eyes, you watched it drift from Shiloh to Jeremy, openly wondering what happened to Jeremy over these past few years. So you're nice now?
Nope.
I don't throw tantrums or pick fights anymore, but I'm not nice. Jeremy shook his head in disbelief. That squeak toy comment wasn't a compliment, you know. I don't have the energy to get angrily worked up like I used to as a kid. It's all pointless anyway. Now I'm just miserable. His tone was even grumblier than usual and dragged the syllables out on the last word for extra emphasis. Oh. An awkward laugh escaped Shiloh, then his mouth pulled into a demure smile. Don't let what Jeremy says about himself get you too down. He's got people who care about him and make sure he's okay, like me. Don't listen to Shiloh. It's nice you're looking out for someone else, Shiloh. I don't really care if Jeremy is sad or not. I'm still not over the fact that the two of you actually know each other. That got a snort out of Jeremy. Me neither. Okay, seriously, how long am I meant to be out of the loop here? Her expression twisted in frustration as Liz rubbed her right temple. Why am I the only one who doesn't know this kid? Charlotte goes to school with him, that's fine, but how the two of you meet him and I didn't? He was around town one summer back like 5 years ago. You were there. Liz crossed her arms and stared unconvinced at you. Is that all? While Liz seemed a bit underwhelmed, Shiloh appeared to be utterly amazed. You had to hold back a small laugh.
Really?
You knew Jeremy as a little kid? What was he like? I've only known him for a year and a half. Well, this was immediately hushed into nothing. You could see Cove wince just thinking on those past encounters. Cove does a good Jeremy impression. Why don't you do that instead? You wanna do that, Cove? Oh, you've got an impression of me, huh? Cove's body stiffened in fear. Jeremy leaned forward just a bit. Sure, go ahead, do it. Jeremy spoke this passionately, but it somehow still felt like a dare.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Cove shook his head along with a stilted laugh. He was sweating in place. I really should've. It's not very flattering. I bet. More broken chuckles fell out of him, and Cove turned his face towards the ground.
Sorry.
Shrugging his shoulders, she said that Cove wasn't going to do the impression. Charlotte frowned in disappointment. Jeremy groaned in the atmosphere. Whatever, I'll do my own impression.
You are stupid. You are stupid. You are stupid. And don't forget, you are stupid.
But you're still cute, so it's like... He delivered the rapid fire insults in a blandly annoyed tone. After a pause, he went back to his normal tone of complete disinterest. So that, but louder and shriller. I'm not gonna yell for this. That was a weak impression. Sheesh, I could do better impression than that. You laughed. You shook your head silently. I laughed. You never would have guessed that Jeremy was someone who could mock himself like that. It was a nice surprise. At that confirmation, Shiloh burst into uncontrolled laughter. Even when he calmed moments later, gasping for breath, there was still a wide grin plastered on his face. I can't even imagine Jeremy being like that. I can't imagine him not being like that. They both chuckled. Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile. I mean, Jeremy hasn't made fun of my eyebrows once. This whole conversation. Unbelievable.
Huh.
I mean, that's true. I mean, well, the hairstyle I picked for him, it kind of covers his eyebrows. Jeremy blinked and focused all of his attention onto Cove. His eyes unmistakably narrowed in on the eyebrows. He didn't say anything at first, and then his words came out in a mumble. That makes sense. I guess insulting eyebrows was just what I did as a kid. What does that mean? What do you think it means? You weren't the only kid in the world with bad eyebrows, and you're not the only one that picked on it for it.
Seriously?
I wasn't. You couldn't help yourself, could you? Nope. Well, so what made their eyebrows bad? Are you curious if yours are better? By terrible eyebrow standards, at least? Kind of, yeah.
Sigh.
Incredulously, Cove looked for Jeremy to you, and then back to him again. He had questioned if you heard that right. He spoke the word sigh instead of actually sighing. Noticing the reaction, Jeremy sighed for real, but he continued on to answer Cove's question. The guy has particularly odd hair coloring. White hair, but only on the top of his head. Every other strand on his body is dark brown, including his immensely bushy eyebrows. He was born that way, it's not dyed. So you were the scarred boy with dumb, wavy eyebrows, and he was the white-haired boy with stupid caterpillar eyebrows. Ow. Unexpectedly, a loud gasp came from Charlotte at the description. You picked on Pran, I forgot his name, on it for his eyebrows? I did, I'm sure you find that hilarious. No, that's not very funny. So he said, with Charlotte's smothering laughter. The unconvinced note in Jeremy's voice didn't surprise you. Okay, wait, give me a second. Let me just... Jeremy rolled his eyes in the I'm surprised this man is still on the phone. I thought he would hung up by now. I'm like, okay, fuck y'all. Jeremy rolled his eyes in the slowest, most exaggerated way possible. When he made a complete circle, he spoke flatly while Shiloh broke into a fit of giggles. There. Who's Pran? Shiloh knows him too?
Well...
Jeremy and Pran have known each other for a long time. They managed to go to the same boarding school later on. I met them both there in the spring of last year. We're all group mates. Jeremy's gaze slid away from Charlie. He looked somewhere between you and Cove. Pran and I met about 4.5 years ago, back when I was still an intolerable brat, and Pran was meek. You can only imagine how amazing that combination was. Yeah, it must make those group meetings awkward. Nope, somehow, some way, for some reason, Pran chose to stubbornly stick with me for as long as we've known each other. He's my best friend. What? It's surprising I know I have a best friend, and it's the caterpillar brow guy of all people. But I guess things balance out in the end. Pran's timid nature is good and dead. He grew up to be colder than even me. I'm moping, he's broody. A perfect match. Two peas in a ruining everyone's life pod.
Gross.
Don't quote Everett. Everett, I believe Everett actually stole my heart, and he was the one I was annoyed at the most. Co-blind after Jeremy snapped his last remark. Now who's Everett? You don't want to know. Yeah, you don't want to know. Shiloh hummed and he watched his three old friends with an amused smile. Oh shit, I almost dropped my water bottle. He was having fun. Before you could say anything, Jeremy continued. Everett is also part of the group, unfortunately. But he chose not to elaborate further than that. Liz sighed this time. You could feel her frustration. You couldn't blame her for that. She hadn't been able to participate much at all. She didn't know Jeremy then, so there was no basis for reminiscing now, and there was a 10-year gap in her history with Shiloh. The whole situation struck an odd chord with you. Two boys that you knew separately came to know each other, and now they know each other much better than they know any of you. Shiloh was almost a stranger. Shrugged the feeling off. You didn't know how to feel. You were on the same page as Liz. You felt down. You were glad things seemed to be going alright. You felt annoyed by how things unfold. This literally happened to me last night because I still follow a few of my high school friends, and just seeing how everyone's changed completely from once being my best friend to being a total stranger. It's a bittersweet feeling, especially when your views and beliefs are totally the opposite now. At first they were the same, you had the same interests, everything was the same, but then as you grew apart, met new people, influenced by other things, it's just so weird how life works, you know? Because at one point we're best friends, everything in common. A few years apart, they're a totally different stranger, someone I probably would never actually talk to because of how they turned out. So it's makes me kind of sad. Well, on the surface it was fun. At the end of the day, you didn't really know either of them. It was uncomfortable letting reality sink in. Shiloh was almost a stranger to you. Turning to the three of you, Shiloh smiled apologetically. You wondered if he was picking up on how in the dark you, Liz, and Cove were feeling. He was perceptive when he wanted to be. At least that's what you remembered of Shiloh, who knew what he was like now. Hey, is there anything else you want to hear about Jeremy? I can tell you all about him. We should get to know each other better. Don't do that. It'll be okay. Jeremy whined, but Shiloh brushed his complaints off. He remained happily focused on the rest of you, and Liz seemed to perk up at the conversation shift. That sounds great. We should get to know Jeremy. So, who wants to go first? Despite being eager, it was obvious that Liz didn't have any ideas herself. Jeremy let out a very long sigh. Could I get his number? What? Why?
Alright.
Sure. Ignoring Jeremy again, Shiloh immediately started listing off the number for you. Jeremy grimaced while you contently saved it in your contact list. Is he single? Is he single? That Shiloh giggled and he smiled down at the screen. Jeremy isn't in anything official, but he does have someone he goes on dates with from time to time. You call that dating? I call it punishment for all of my wrongdoings in his life. Clovis scratched his face and glanced at you like he wasn't sure he heard Jeremy correctly. Shiloh smiled understandingly. It's complicated. She makes him happy against his will. How unfortunate. Shiloh started chuckling again. Jeremy, on the other hand, let out a loud sigh, clearly done with the current topic. How tall is he? 5'5". He's kind of short. When's his birthday? May 4th. He's a Taurus. Jeremy refused to comment on that. Instead, he rolled his eyes. How come Shiloh knows almost everything? What's his full name? Jeremy Marion King. Isn't that neat? Why do you even know that? Are you planning on stealing my identity? He crossed his arms inside. A grin quickly appeared on your face. You can have it. I'll keep that in mind. You can have it. What are his parents like? They're nice and optimistic. They work really hard, but they can be smothering, sort of, and usually embarrass Jeremy. Jeremy seemed unenthused by Shiloh's answer. Does he have any siblings? Nope. Jeremy's an only child. He doesn't have any pets either. Although Prince spends almost no time with his own family and a lot with Jeremy. It's kind of like a sibling relationship at the... Don't bring Pran into this awful thing. Okay. Does he have any hobbies? Reading and crafty handiwork type stuff. Oh, and archery. Jeremy's really talented. Seriously, that's really cool. Jeremy scoffed at the compliments. He clearly wanted to move on from the conversation. Is he doing well in school? Yeah, Nate is still doing the best, but Jeremy gets respectable scores. Or unless by doing well you mean to ask if he's having a good time or making friends, then in that case, no, he's not. You weren't sure how to respond to that at all. Glancing back at Jeremy, he rolled his eyes. What happened to this bowl cut and glasses? He had a bowl cut? I sent Shiloh into a fit of laughter while Jeremy shook his head disapprovingly. Through chuckles, Shiloh continued with his best guess.
Right.
His mom and dad probably decided that back then and now he picked, or they developed new tastes over the years. As for his glasses, Jeremy wears contacts at school and when he's out and about, but he still wears glasses when he's home or working part-time in his parents' hobby shop. What did happen at the amusement park?
Oh.
I don't know actually. I don't actually know. I can only think of one time when we were both there. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I could tell, I didn't do anything to upset him, and I know he didn't do anything to me. That's what you're going with, Shiloh? Jeremy, what happened? I'm not gonna tell you. It's humiliating, and Shiloh knows I'm not gonna say anything. It's why he won't explain either. For several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look on his face before averting his eyes. Sorry, I can't help you with this, Chico. It's fine. That's everything, I think. Cool, thanks for asking. Cove, do you have any questions for Jeremy? He's so handsome though, like honestly. Stunned, it took Cove a moment to recover from being put on the spot. But ultimately his eyes shifted from Shallow's and locked with Jeremy's. They remained like that long enough that it was as if they could speak telepathically. Alright, yeah, I have a question, but Shallow can't answer. Fine, ask me, let's get it over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, you still feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? A crack formed in Jeremy's lackadaisical expression. His barely open eyes lifted a little more, but he still spoke flatly. My opinion on stuff is basically the least important thing you could ever worry about. It's pointless. Well, I'm still asking, so... Cove, right? That's your name? Cove nodded. There was a tint of pink in his cheeks as he bashfully rubbed his arm. Okay, Cove. You seem like a guy who cares a lot about things that don't matter. It sounds pretty dumb to me. I outgrew that years ago. And being as soft as you act, it isn't something that I would ever do, basically. But, you know what the absolute dumbest thing really is? Cove shook his head with creased brows. He then leaned forward just a bit, like he couldn't risk not hearing what revelation Jeremy was going to bestow on him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to be. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way to enjoy existence, then you should go ahead and do that. Stay gentle and happy, dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval. That's what you wanted.
I hope you all have wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Yo, Jeremy's really sweet. Wow. The word tumbled out softly. Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
And you know what's not gonna make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So really, you should end this conversation right now and none of you should ever call me again for the rest of your lives. That sounds good. Can I hang up already? Wait, Jeremy, I can never call you again. I can't never call you again. Shut up, Shiloh. Unfazed, Shiloh laughed at the tilt of his head, building something good up only to try undercutting it. That's a Jeremy I know.
Sorry.
Oh, he's so cute. Miss him. The word dripped with sarcasm was accompanied by a smirk. It was the first time he saw him smile this entire time. Cove piped up meekly, an awkward smile of his own on his face. Maybe my opinion is totally skewed because I'm comparing things now to how Jeremy used to be. But I mean, you don't seem that bad. What? Jeremy's offended that you don't think he's horrible. Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes to finish his thought.
I mean...
I'd probably be okay with talking to you again. Come on. You can have some standards. I want to keep talking with Jeremy too. Yeah, Cove, he's pretty cute. I'd be fine with ending this call. I don't think he's that bad. Yeah, Cove, he's pretty cute. Please tell me you're making fun of me. Nope, I mean it. He groaned loudly. Oh, he's blushing. He's blushing. Oh, so cute. There was a light blush involuntarily appearing on his face. Liz clapped her hands. Wonderful.
Good.
Now that we're much closer to this Jeremy kid, I think we can all get along together and be friends. Friends? Jeremy repeated the words back like it was a foreign phrase. He genuinely didn't seem to understand. That's right, if we keep working on it, I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. He stared at Liz incredulously for several moments, her expression twisted into fresh confusion of her own. Okay, 3 things. First, I already have one whole friend, and that's more than enough. Second, I still don't know who you are. Did you even say your name at any point? And most importantly, third, one of the people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields. He and I aren't gonna be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is already as good as it ever is gonna be. He mercifully leaves me the most of the time. Wait, what? Leaves me be most of the time. And on the weird occasions where he needs something, I just get it over with. Then he goes away again and have modicum of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me. We have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looked to Shiloh seriously to back up the validity of the relationship, but Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't try to hang around too much, but that's because you're shy. You're the only one who thinks that setup is actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy's like, wait, what? Wait, I thought we had a thing going. Jeremy turned his face to the side and let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz both joined on Shiloh's mirth. Jeremy got no support.
Sigh.
Of course you'd say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. Liz's chuckling stopped. Wait, what does that mean, Shiloh's famous memory? What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh annoyingly remembers everything that happens for all of eternity. At least until some piece of info he has isn't helpful anymore, or he's got any explaining to do, then magically all of a sudden he doesn't know anything about it. His boldly inconsistent recollection of situations is pretty much a running joke. It's Shiloh's shtick. One of them, anyway. This conversation is taking a turn. A scowl dug in Liz's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost his smile, seeing her reaction. Shiloh remained silent. Silent with his big childlike eyes locked on her sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen at the changing atmosphere. He broke eye contact with everyone. I'm guessing he didn't mention that. No, he didn't. And he said he forgot something to you? I do recall him saying a little thing like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you had the pleasure of meeting me. You know me. And I talked a bit about Pran and, Everett too. We're all in the same unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people. What an amazing coincidence, huh? What we're about is kind of hard to hide. I'm gonna go now. I don't want to be the fifth wheel of your own little group. You three people have a good day, I guess. And Shiloh, I'll see you back at school.
Bye.
I mean, at least he said I'll see you back at school. Jeremy promptly ended the call. Just as people had begun to warm up to him, he accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. Shiloh, now averting his own gaze, put his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew that Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it's even worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh. Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we first met you in the city, did you know who we were? Did you pretend not to recognize us? The two old friends watched each other for a beat, but ultimately Shiloh closed his eyes with a lopsided smile. Oh, Lizzie, you've gotta know why I could never really forget you. Liz was speechless, but it wasn't quiet. Cove couldn't stop himself from shouting out. Oh my god, you were lying to them? Lying is a strong word. I was, improvising? Improvising what? That was cruel, Shiloh. Yep, that makes way more sense than you not figuring it out. You didn't have a reaction, really? You're crazy and a liar? You smirked and thought Shiloh was pretty bold. You didn't have any idea what to say. That was cruel, Shiloh. It took everything in you not to screaming at him. Your hands trembled. Shiloh only momentarily tore his attention away from Liz to see her anger. The entire conversation where you found each other again was all a lie? The thought of it made your chest tight and your heart feel heavy. Go home, Shiloh, or go to my house and wait there until we can send you home.
Alright.
Okay. With his shoulders dipped and head low, Shiloh obediently left the park alone. After he disappeared up the road, Liz sat her butt down right into the sand with no concern for how dirty her dress might get this time. You went after Shiloh to confront him? You went after Shiloh to talk to him? You crouched down with your sister. Sister might need alone time, right? Right? Sister? Please say yes. Go talk to her. Watch Liz, I'll be back.
What?
Cove, you ain't gonna talk to that guy, are you? You didn't give him an explanation, you just shot out of the park after Shiloh. You caught up with him on your neighborhood street. He must have noticed your footsteps because he was standing still in the middle of the road, waiting. You couldn't read his expression and he didn't say anything. I want to talk. He smiled while fiddling with the rim of his hat. We will, later, thanks for trying. Bitch! And that was it. He turned his back to you, continued his walking of shame. He wanted to wait, like Liz asked. Even after all this time you listened to her, there was nothing you could do. You left him there to rejoin the others at the park. Alright, I attempted. Cove seemed concerned for you when you arrived, but you quickly reassured him when you sat down. He nodded and gave you space by your sister. She hadn't moved from where you had first left her. However, your presence caused her to stir. You can go, we're done. Cove shared an unsure look with you. She wanted to be alone, but this wasn't the time for that. No, it's obvious you need us here with you. Accepting that you were going to be here for this, she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the sides of her hat down, gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe you pretended he didn't know us. Since when was Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. Am I an idiot for thinking we could talk? You wrapped your arms around her, you leaned against her, you took her arm, you washed her gone. No, wrap my arms around her. Sissy needs a hug. You wiggled closer and pulled your big sister into a hug from the side because you had to hold on even when she didn't let go of her hat. You're not an idiot, he's an idiot. Shiloh lied to us, it's not your fault. No, you're smart and talented and amazing. Liz, I'm so sorry. No, Shiloh lied to us, it's not your fault. Seriously, he's a tool. I know I shouldn't care. It doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. He's not the greatest man on earth. I'll be fine. But I brought him here all the way from the other side of the state, and I don't even know why he did any of this. Liz finally removed her hands from the brim of her hat in order to rub at the her temples instead. It blows. Cove snorted some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing. She didn't mind it. It's true, but you'll always have me. Say the word and I'll force the answer out of him. I bet he's just intimidated by successful women. Liz, if you ever see that guy again, I'll hurl him into the ocean. We'll have so much fun without him. He has no idea what he'll be missing out on. I'm here for you, Liz. They're thick and thin no matter what. I feel like this is the better option.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sister. Family always stick together. Not all family. I don't want to speak for all families, but most families will always stick together. She squished you tight and rocked you back and forth in a dramatic hug. You let out You let out a cove-like squeak. I love you. I love you too. And what is family for? Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you too, Cove, for being around. We're going to officially be family one day, right? Hey, are you hitting on my mans? She shot him a wry smile and he tensed up, face going red. He was willing to take her teasing if it made her feel better. Don't mention it. Good. Liz rested her eyes after those last couple words. It eased your heart to see feel better. Cove let out a soft sigh of relief. Hey. Cove then brought his face close to yours so you could speak in a whisper.
Are you okay?
You're worried about me? Cove is worried about me? I know Liz was his best friend, but you knew him too, and you were there when he did his whole pretend improvisation act. I'm sad, I'm furious, I don't know how I feel, I didn't say anything, don't worry about me. I'm furious. That bitch lied. I get that, he doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and suddenly mess with everybody's emotions. Cove ended his checkup by reaching over to pat you on the shoulder reassuringly. So cute, dude. Your longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feeling of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time passed, but you were eventually caught off guard by a soft call in the distance. In unison, the three of you turned your heads to the sound, and there, standing at the edge of the playground, Shiloh himself. He waved. You flipped him off, you froze in place. You held closer to Liz, nervously moved in front of Liz protectively. You huddled closer to Cove nervously. I think I would move in front of Liz protectively. You didn't want him to hurt your sister again. Why would he think it was okay to come back here after everything? You got a lot of nerve, Shiloh. It's a good thing your name is Fields, because I'm going to put you on the ground. No one wants you here. Why are you doing this? I'll punch you in the face. And you didn't speak a word. I don't think I would say anything, honestly. Like, I'm angry, but I don't know what I would say. You simply stared back. Did you say something? I couldn't hear you from over here, but don't get up on my account. I'll come to you. What? You knew no one had actually spoken. Shiloh almost certainly did too. Shiloh approached with easy strides as if he had been welcomed. You were floored with how much confidence or shamelessness the boy was apparently capable of now. Liz turned her face and refused to acknowledge what was happening. She might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shiloh's presence away. Unfortunately, it didn't work. When Shiloh arrived, he plopped down into the sand with the rest of you, his legs folded crisscrossed.
Hi.
I mean, he's very bold for this. Gotta give this man some props. Get lost, Shiloh. I will in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you'd want to talk to me after you had some space. I ought to let you do that, even if you're gonna yell at me. Liz finally faced him to be free to snap at Shiloh full force. And why in the world would you think that? Unfazed, Shiloh looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Lizzie. You're the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. When have you ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you're dying to do that. Liz ground her teeth, quietly fuming. Shiloh had called it right, and that sucked for her. Fine, I'll bite. Give me your excuses.
Well,
Mostly, it was just really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I had known I was going to see you that day, and if there was a self-appointed hall monitor dutifully watching every move people made. And a hi, good to see you, gotta go was simply too much for your little heart to manage. Of course, the goal was to keep as much distance as possible, admitting I was the guy you knew wouldn't have been helpful. So you can't stand us, and me trying to reconnect with such was just a huge pain for you after all. Amazing, wonderful, thank you so much for saying so. No, that's not it. Don't feel bad though, you're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brows twitched as she stared at Shiloh in tired disbelief. He smiled back at her brightly. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with that situation the way I always do, by saying stuff I didn't exactly mean because it's just easier that way. You heard Jeremy, it's what I'm known for. Sure, right now you're mad that I pretend not to remember you, but if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later on and we'd have ended up here still. Liz's anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was soon replaced with a sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shiloh chuckled uncomfortably and searched for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I wouldn't have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issues. Jeremy wasn't someone I expected to call me out. That's pointless to him usually. But I'm not going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. No matter how much I follow others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine. I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick to the best option was something I did for my sake. I chose to let people be the boss when it's what I need, and I chose where to stop it. I really don't like Shiloh. I like just listening to his story all over again pisses me fucking off. And the best I can do for you now is spare you from dealing with it. It's like Shiloh will let you pretend to be the main character, but in actuality he knows he's the main character. So it's like, God, fucking get the fuck out. I don't know. I'm not as earnest as you are. I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back then I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else. If they were the odd one out, that'd mean I wasn't. So fucked up. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everybody that ended up moving myself soon after that. It's horrible, I knew it. I was sure you weren't being honest back then. You felt bad for him hearing that? Okay then. You didn't want to say it out loud, but you had always suspected that. It's horrible. You didn't know what else to say, nothing else could sum it up. I knew that's essentially how you were back then. You were a scaredy cat who wanted someone to defend you. I simply imagined that in the past 10 years you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown-up human being? Well, in my defense, I'm not an adult yet. I won't be 18 until later this year in October. October 30th. You remembered. So did you, punk. Charlotte chuckled self-consciously as Liz smirked at him. There was an affable moment before she became serious again. I liked you when we were kids. I wanted to know you now. That's what upset me the most. The idea that maybe you only wanted to be rid of your old friends. Aww. Lizzie, you're too good to need someone like me in your life. That's the truth. I'm not worth the effort. But like she wants her childhood friend, dude. Except for with unusual people who have odd taste. Then she straightened up in the stand, brushing her dress back out. That's an incredibly annoying thing to say. It's insane. You've only changed in stupid ways and stayed the same for the rest. That's fair. Is it? It means maybe I have unusual taste. You could have stuffed Shiloh's entire head into his mouth with how wide he opened it. Really? Well, as much as mother hen being compelled to look out for their chick, no matter how useless they are, is unusual, I can't help it. You haven't changed that much after all either. You're still Shiloh. You're painfully still Shiloh.
You're welcome.
I brought you here and I'm not gonna abandon you. It has to be someone's job to look out for her. Job to look out for and keep an eye on you. With her surety returning, she pulled herself up off the ground and glowered down at Shiloh with her arms folded. Now I do want an apology for everything you've done behind our backs when you could have opened with all that you just said. You should have given us a real chance or stayed home. The stunt was rude, to me and Michiko and Cove too. As of bringing the baby chick comparison to life, Shiloh dutifully did as he was told. Sorry, Lizzie, Michiko, Cove, everyone. I didn't want to cause problems or ruin the day. And you don't have to accept just because I'm saying it. Not everybody needs to like everyone. Alright then. You're kind of mean sometimes when we were kids, but I wasn't very nice to you either. All this recent stuff isn't really something to make about me, so I'm not gonna hold on to it. I mean, as long as you're not gonna keep upsetting people from now on. Thanks, Cove. I'll avoid doing that in the future. But does he? No, he doesn't. He then changed his focus to you. His expression was curious. He wanted to know where your feelings landed on him. Were you pretending to have a good time with us today? It sounds like something I would say, because I would still be furious. I'll accept your apology. I'm not forgiving you to even think about it. You couldn't give him a straight answer. You should forgive him. You shouldn't forgive him. That's crazy. Give him a faint smile, feeling sort of relieved. No. Were you pretending to have a good time with us today? No, it really was great to come back to the old neighborhood and see you three. I only guessed it would end badly, so I tried to not get into the situation in the first place. Michiko, do you want to stay for what's left of the evening? You don't have to. As you got to your feet, you thought about it. You did, and there was a reason for it? You don't want to spend any more time with Shiloh. No, just, come on. We'll never see him again. I still like Shiloh. If Liz is looking out for Shiloh, someone has to look out for her. I'm kind of interested to see what'll happen next. Stick around. I just feel sorry for you, Shiloh. I want us to stay together. I'm looking out for Liz. A sly grin went across your face. Shiloh jumped to his feet, straightening his cap on the landing. Lynn would be so proud you didn't all leave. What? Who's Lynn? Cove rose as well, but with a groan. Another group mate? Oh wait, I remembered. I remember who Lynn knows. No, he's our group supervisor. He's also friends with my mom. And if you were still wondering, that group is for people who have difficult to deal with attitudes. Jerry and Nate being in it makes a lot of sense, huh? Shiloh spoke simply and finished his thought with a breezy shrug. Liz sighed loudly, and then she smiled ruefully at him. Geez, Shiloh, you've certainly made yourself other people's problems since leaving. Well, now you all know me better too. Thanks for sharing. A small smirk appeared on her face as she watched Shiloh. You didn't fail to notice the hint of sarcasm in her voice. And thank you, Michiko. Accompanied by a warm smile, Liz's tone was sincere. I can keep hanging out with everyone too. Sheepish Cove rubbed his arm. Liz smile stretched into a grin at that news. Oh, thanks for sticking around. Well then, what now? The four of you stared at each other in silence until Shiloh tentatively made a suggestion. Would anyone build a sandcastle? That sounds ideal. Your older sister began to truly relax again, and you were glad to see it. Glancing at Kobe nodded in agreement with Liz. It's been a while since any of us did that together, huh? Let's do it. Then we're all agreed. Come on, gang, let's go play at the beach. The sun was far across the sky when the four of you trailed down from the park to the shore in comfortable silence. It was hard not to think back on how familiar it all felt. You never thought the four of you would ever be here together again. It wasn't long before you were sitting on the wet ground, busily pushing as much sand as possible into a lump. You all worked together quietly, but every so often a chuckle would drift through because of the castle's lopsided development. At one point, Cove stretched his legs out completely and the incoming waves started reaching his toes. He initially was caught off guard and almost jumped into the castle, but ultimately didn't resist the water. After that, the group walked with purpose to finish before the ocean could tear it all down. Though even still, Liz ended up taking time to be particular about the castle's rudimentary design. Shiloh, of course, packed up all her plans. Cove was a dissenting voice, wanting to keep things more laid back. Things got pretty boisterous. Being there and doing this with Cove, Liz, and Shiloh, it felt weirdly different, yet also weirdly the same.
So...
What happened with the amusement park? You're pretending not to know, weren't you? Both you and your sister glanced at Shiloh, silently re-asking the question. Under the weight of all three of you taking a turn to ask about it, Shiloh finally gave in. I might have an idea what it meant.
So...
The thing is, there's someone we're both familiar with, and she asked Jeremy to the amusement park one time. He accepted, but just complained about it, so I suggested that maybe me and her should go together. Jeremy also agreed that it'd be much more fun to go around the park with me. That's what he meant when he said he was on my side. She still went with him, and now Jeremy's embarrassed to admit not that he was turned down, but that he was the preferred option then. It's hard to believe. Anyway, Jeremy could think that I'm mad I got passed over, but it doesn't matter if she said yes or no. All that counts is if she knows I'm totally there when she needs it, and she does. Sure, Shiloh, you're so reliable. I know, right? Shiloh is okay with being the bottom bitch. Sad. Okay, thanks for telling us.
You're welcome.
Absentmindedly, you twisted your fingers in the sand and thought about everything Shiloh said today. It was still bothering you, but to some degree it all felt kind of like closure. And not just with Shiloh, but also with Jeremy, of all people, the old villain of that one summer from long ago. Just like old times before, you stayed on the beach until night fell and the moon was high in the sky. Then the time had come to say goodbye. Shiloh needed to get back to his mom and back to where his life truly was now. The four of you walked up to the neighborhood street as one, tired smiles covering the familiar faces around you. You never could have seen where the day was heading when it started. However, you appreciated the opportunities it brought you in the end. After that, Shiloh disappeared from Sensible once again, though this time it wasn't heartbreaking or hard to understand. This time it was just another part of life. And it helped that Liz had her own phone and laptop and could easily check in on him from time to time. That was nice too. Oh, that's cute. At least it ended nicely. God, I'm burping over here. It ended nicely on a good note. I'm just... Where was that Jeremy when I played XOXO Droplets? Where was he then with that look and everything? Unless he did have that hairstyle, I just can't remember. But that was a nice freaking DLC story. We got to see both, what's the name? Shiloh and Jeremy as grown up them. And then we caught up with like old friendships and stuff. This game is hurting me emotionally with all of the relatable situations that they've presented so far. I'm pretty sure many others can also relate to the stories that is going on in the DLC. Like, you know, the whole friend thing, childhood friend, pretending to not know who you are, but you still remember who they are. You're trying to rekindle that friendship and stuff. But friendship is a fickle thing, you know. People change as they get older. You grow apart, and when you try to attempt to rekindle friendship, the other person also would have to want to rekindle that friendship with you. So if you extend that hand and it doesn't get accepted, don't worry. I'm sure somewhere down the line new friends will show up and they'll appreciate your efforts more than the person that you tried. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Because I'm so tired. I'm literally so tired of reaching to old friends, extending the hand, you know, like telling them, hey, you can text me whenever you want, you know, I'm here, you know. I just want like time with friends, because as you get older things get more sentimental, and friendship is one big thing. Because I'm happily in a relationship, but friendship wise I don't have many, and I wish I had at least like a handful that I can lean towards too. But you know, that's part of adulthood. You don't get everything you want. Things will come whenever they come. So if that friend didn't reach back to you, don't worry. A new one will come sometime, somewhere, maybe. I don't know. Wait, I'm trying to be optimistic here. But anyway, let's end off this episode here. The next one, we are going on a boating trip. I know somewhere in one of these DLCs we will see the girls again. I don't remember their names, but we will see them again. I'm assuming I might be in the boating one, because it's definitely not the end of the summer. Maybe, wait, maybe it's in step 4? I think, never mind, we're not going to see the girls again, maybe. I think I saw a picture teaser of how they look like in step 4, so never mind. Erase what I just said. Thank you guys for watching, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.